Hello and a warm good morning. You're tuned into Market Cafe. I'm Ankita Saxena and with me Shishi Sharma in the next half an hour. We'll take you through all of that transpired on the global front, the geopolitics, all of the news and the market moves and the cues that you need to watch out for before the start of these streets. So let's get going with how Wall Street really shaped up yesterday. Well, there were mixed cues coming in as far as Wall Street is concerned. I remember the tech stocks have been rallying and how, in fact, S&P 500 and Nasdaq has been hitting record highs. But that cooled off yesterday. In fact, we did see a bit of a sell-off that came in as far as the tech stocks were concerned. Let's look at the tech stock like memory chips, like Seagate, that was tumbling after CEO Dave Mosley made comments at JP Morgan's conference that they had raised fears that the company may find it trouble meeting the artificial intelligence-driven surge in demand. And in the back of that, we did see all the chip-making companies and all the tech stocks that saw a bit of a dropping in the trading session. Now, the stock was down 7% as even Micron was down 6%, and other artificial intelligence adjacent stocks also declined on Monday. So Nasdaq did see that decline coming in on account of that. It was down almost 0.5%. S&P 500 also very, very flat, though in the red, closed with cuts of almost 5 odd points, very flat. But Dow Jones was the one that was bucking the trend. That was trading up almost 160 odd points, 0.3% gain coming in on Dow Jones Industrial Average. Remember, it is U.S. President Donald Trump had also come out yesterday and said that he is deferring the attack on Iran that was due today, Tuesday, because he's been requested by the Middle Eastern countries not to do so, and therefore a bit of a positive or optimism coming in as far as Dow Jones is concerned. So that's trading up 0.3%. So that's how mixed were the cues as far as Wall Street is concerned.
Well, absolutely. But along with that, when it comes to the crude oil market, then yes, of course, we have seen a bit of a sell-off from those highest elevated levels. But as of now, it's they are just off 2% from their highest point from yesterday. Brent crude is trading and hovering around that $110 per barrel mark, while WTI showing a downtick of almost 1.5% is close to $103 per barrel mark. Yes, of course, after the comments coming in from Trump about delayed attacks, the crude oil market did see some bit of a breather after that one-way rally upwards. But along with that, when it comes to the gold and silver prices, there we have seen a bit of a jump from those lower levels. And as of now, silver is trading around that $78 per ounce mark with a 1% jump, while gold is hovering around $4,550 per ounce mark. Ankita.
All right, so that's cool off coming in as far as oil prices are concerned, on account of delaying the planned attack on Iran. And the back of that, we do see Asian markets that has seeing an uptick on account of that. We have Nikkei that's trading up 0.1%, Hang Seng that's also up 0.5%, Shanghai trading up 0.2%, and S&P ASX 200 that is up almost 1% in trade. And implied start to Nifty very, very flat, though in the green, but very flat moves as far as implied start to Nifty is concerned, with an uptick of just 7 odd points.
All right, so that's about the Asian market check. But with this, let's move on and let's get you some of the other big global stories we are tracking at this hour. And first up, of course, is Donald Trump saying that he postponed a very major attack on Iran that was reportedly planned for tomorrow after a request from Saudi Arabia, Qatar and UAE and other regional players seeking more time for diplomacy. Trump said discussions with Iran have intensified and there is now a very good chance of reaching an agreement that prevents Tehran from obtaining nuclear weapons without further military escalation. The U.S. president claimed Iran's military leadership and capabilities have been totally destroyed, while also highlighting America's naval blockade around Iranian ports. Let's go across and listen in.
Other countries have come to me and they've said we were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. I've put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, but possibly for a little while, because we've had very big discussions with Iran, and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal. And if we can do that, where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also. We've informed Israel. We've informed other people in the Middle East that have been involved with us. We've totally destroyed their military. We've destroyed their leadership. As you know, their leaders are gone. Their leaders are gone at the first level. The second level, we're dealing with half of the third level. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And it's very simple. You know, we don't want to go through this. We had the greatest economy ever. We still do. The stock market had a brand new high a little while ago. I never thought that was going to happen. We had to make the excursion. You know, we hit 50,000 on the Dow. We hit 7,000 on the S&P, and everyone said that couldn't be done within my 4 years. It would be too big. Well, we did it in my first year.
And well, Japan's economy expanded at an annualized 2.1% in Q1 of 2026, beating market expectations of 1.7%. As stronger consumption and export supported growth. On a sequential basis, the GDP growth came in at 0.5%, also ahead of the estimates, improving from the previous quarter's 0.3% expansion. However, the data also only partially captures the impact of the Iran war and the resulting surge in crude oil prices, which the Bank of Japan warns could hurt the corporate profits and household incomes. The Bank of Japan has in fact already cut its FY26 growth forecast while sharply raising inflation expectations amid the mounting energy cost pressures.
All right, and it's Samsung that faces the threat of major strike involving more than 47,000 workers as South Korean officials push for last-minute settlement between management and labor unions. Lee Jae-myung urged both sides to balance labor rights with corporate management interest ahead of planned May 21 walkout. The union is demanding a larger share of profits through higher performance-linked bonuses, while Samsung has proposed a smaller allocation along with one-time compensation, with Samsung accounting for nearly 12.5% of South Korea's GDP and over 22% of exports. Authorities warn prolonged disruptions could severely impact the broader economy and semiconductor supply chains.
And OpenAI has defeated a lawsuit filed by Elon Musk, removing a major legal overhang ahead of a potential IPO that could value the company at nearly $1 trillion. A California jury ruled unanimously that Musk waited too long to bring the case, delivering a verdict in under 2 hours after a 3-week trial. Musk had accused OpenAI and CEO Sam Altman of abandoning the company's original non-profit mission and enriching themselves through its for-profit structure and partnerships with the investors, including Microsoft. Musk says that he plans to appeal, while the ruling is seen as a significant win for OpenAI's future fundraising and listing ambitions.
All right, but with this, let's get back home. And now it's time to tell you which are some of the counters that are going to be in focus in today's trading session. And for that, let me take it across to my colleague Karan, who's standing by with just that list. Good morning, Karan. Take it away.
Well, let's start off with the Q4 earnings of Indraprasth Gas. The company has reported a mixed set of numbers. While the net revenue is up 5% year-on-year and 2.6% sequentially at 4,100 crores, the revenue growth is supported largely by a healthy volume growth across both CNG and PNG segments. Moreover, the EBITDA has declined 15% sequentially due to a 3% rise in gas cost and elevated operating costs, followed by BLS e-services, wherein the revenue is up 35% at 300 crores. The EBITDA margins contracted by more than 150 basis points. Triveni Turbine will also be in focus as the company has reported a mixed set of numbers. While the revenue is up 26% at 680 crores, there is a significant contraction in the EBITDA margins. Margins are impacted on account of the project and segment mix during the period. Followed by GNFC, while the revenue is up 7% at 2,200 crores, there is a significant expansion in the EBITDA margins. Revenue improved due to better sales realization in the majority of the products. However, on the flip side, the fertilizer segment revenue decreased, mainly due to lower volume and realization. Subros is also in focus as the company has reported a mixed set of numbers. While the revenue is up 15% at 1,000 crores, there is a slight contraction in the EBITDA margins. Puravankara, revenue is up 40% at 1,500 crores, and the most interesting point is that the EBITDA has increased 10 times to 300 crores. There is a significant expansion in the EBITDA margins as well, and the company has reported a profit of 100 crores versus a loss same time last year. And finally, we have Afcons Infra, wherein the company has reported a weak set of numbers with a significant contraction in the EBITDA margins. The company has reported a loss of 80 crores versus a profit same time last year.
All right, let's go across to Darshita, standing by with another list of stocks that you need to watch out for before the start of the street. Darshita, take us through all the stocks that you've picked out for us.
Well, yes, lots of stock-specific action in today's session, and here are the key stocks in focus. Starting off with OMC, first a positive trigger for the entire pack, with the petrol and diesel prices hiked for the second time across India. In Delhi, the petrol prices have gone up by 87 paise a litre, while the diesel prices are higher by 91 paise a litre. Now, that's likely to aid the market in margins for companies like HPCL, BPCL, and IOCL. Moving ahead, we have Indian Oil Corporation, which has approved 50-50 joint venture with M11 Energy Transition to set up a sustainable aviation fuel project at Paradip. Now, this project will have a 100 KTPA capacity and will be built at an estimated cost of around 1,060 crores. In the pharma space, Lupin has received tentative US FDA approval for its generic revifenacin inhalation solution. Now, this is a treatment used for COPD, and importantly, the reference drug clocks annual US sales of over $260 million. So a meaningful opportunity opens up for Lupin here. Moving on to autos, Eicher Motors is looking at a major greenfield expansion in Andhra Pradesh. Now, the company plans to invest about 2,500 crore in a new manufacturing facility, which is spread across 215 acres in Tada. And this will be funded entirely by internal accruals. In the renewable energy space, Vari Renewable Technologies has secured a turnkey EPC contract for a large battery energy storage project. Now, this order is for 350 megawatt grid-connected BESS project, and execution is targeted over FY27. And finally, moving forward, we have hospitality player Lemon Tree Hotels, which continues to expand its footprint. The company has signed a franchise agreement for a 50-room key primer project in Karnal, taking its Haryana portfolio to 13 hotels.
All right, thank you so much, Darshita, for getting us all those details. But let's talk about the big story of the day, and it's another dent to the common man's pocket as fuel prices in the country have been hiked for the second time within a week amid the ongoing Iran war. Oil companies have increased the prices of petrol and diesel by around 90 paisa per litre, and this comes just 3 days after the previous hike of rupees 3 per litre on Friday. My colleague Dev Kotak from Times Network brings us this ground report. Dev. Understand the latest update coming in.
Well, yes, absolutely. As you know, within the last 4 days, in fact, in less than a week, the petrol prices have been nearly increased by 4 rupees. 3 rupees were increased on petrol and diesel on May 15th, and today, the May 19th, nearly another 90 paise. In fact, in Delhi, petrol prices are 99 rupees and diesel prices touching 92. In other metro cities like Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai, petrol has crossed the 100 mark. However, we are at one such petroleum where you can see that the people are still coming either way. It doesn't matter to them what prices the petrol and diesel are. They're still compelled to buy at a much more expensive rate. And of course, some of them, in fact, even told us earlier that in line with PM Modi's vision and the appeal that he had made to use personal and private vehicles only when absolutely necessary. Otherwise, to rely, to increase dependency and rely and focus more on the public transport in wake of the ongoing fuel crisis. But however, as you know, that in fact in the last 2.5 to 3 months, the global fuel crisis has only gotten worse, while India continues to wait for the arrival of all its ships that have been carrying fuel and are currently either in transit or stuck in the Strait of Hormuz. However, the people out here since morning have been coming. In fact, some of them are even scared and anticipating a further price rise beyond the 90 paise also. So which is why they're not taking any chances at this point in time. And you can see there is a steady stream of two-wheelers and four-wheelers since morning after this decision was announced that the prices are being hiked. That is why they are all going for full tanks, and rather to avoid the long serpentine queues that might start forming later during the day. Most of these office goers and commuters, while on their way to work, are ensuring that their vehicles have full tanks so that they do not have to worry at least for the next few days.
All right, thank you so much for joining us with the on-ground report of how the petrol price hikes have hit the common users. Though we still see people going and filling up their tanks as far as petrol is concerned. But we'll get you more on that as and when we keep getting the information. But fresh scrutiny is intensifying around IndusInd Bank, and after a fresh whistleblower complaint triggering regulatory attention across multiple agencies, an exclusive source is telling us that the NFRA is examining nearly 5 years of financial statements and audit-related matters at the bank, while SEBI is also believed to have sought details from the company secretary. My colleague Ankur Mishra is now joining us with the details of the story.
Yes, sources say that scrutiny may have intensified for IndusInd Bank after fresh whistleblower complaints which has been made against the lender. What we understand is that NFRA is examining nearly 5 years of financial statement and also audit-related matters at the IndusInd Bank in the past 5 years. And even market regulator has come into action because they have summoned the officials of IndusInd Bank and they have asked for some of the data from the bank. Now, what are these allegations which has been made in the fresh whistleblower complaint? We understand that the allegation is that there is a delay in PwC investigation findings that is linked to rupees 2,000 crore issue. And not only that, the complaint also says that even the other report of Grant Thornton that needs to be looked into. Apart from that, complaint seeks to probe the role of audit committees, internal audit and senior management which took the action at that time, and also why those officials were given a chance to leave and without asking any kind of questions. So these are the allegations which has been put forward by the whistleblower, and these complaints have been of course sent to the regulators and also the agencies including SFIO, RBI, NFRA, SEBI and others. But more importantly, the complaint is saying that the investigation needs to be done from 2012 onwards where there has been some discrepancies. So all will depend on actual findings by the regulator and the agencies whether or not there is a merit in these complaints.
All right, thank you so much, Ankur, for all those details. But big development for the Adani Group as well as Adani Enterprises has reached a $275 million of settlement with the US Treasury, marking a significant step towards resolving a series of regulatory and legal issues in the United States. Now, this comes after months of scrutiny by US authorities over allegations linked to sanctions compliance, investor disclosures and overseas business dealings. US prosecutors had earlier alleged that Gautam Adani and associates were involved in the scheme tied to bribery allegations around solar energy contracts, charges that the group has consistently denied. Now, reports had indicated that US agencies were working towards resolving multiple cases involving the Adani Group, including possible settlement discussions with the SEC and the US Justice Department. Now, the latest settlement is being seen as a major step in reducing the legal overhang on the group and could improve investor sentiment towards Adani companies globally. Markets will now watch for finer details of the agreement, including compliance, commitments, and any operational implications going forward. And Ankur is here with more details on this one.
Yes, Adani Enterprises has reached settlement with the US Treasury Department through Office of Foreign Asset Control and announced a settlement of $275 million. Now, what does this mean? This means that without any admission of guilt, this case may have been settled. Now, this matter pertains to 32 ships of LPG, which was shown as origin from Oman and then routed to Dubai and finally to US. But the allegation was that it did violate the US sanctions. The US sanctions were there in place for Iran, and there were allegations that these ships actually came from Iran, and therefore the Office of Foreign Assets Control came into action and the inquiry was underway. Now that the settlement has reached with the US Treasury Department, it also needs to be seen what happens to the other two pending cases against Adani Enterprises and the officials of Adani Group, because now one case is already settled. We need to wait and see the movement which has been there in the last few days in other two cases, whether or not those are either dropped by US Justice Department or settled like the way it happened for Treasury case which was against Adani Enterprises. So it will be interesting to see that whether or not all three cases are settled for Adani Group.
All right, Adani stocks will be in focus. On the back of that, we'll be watching out for Adani Enterprises. A big relief there coming in as far as Adani Enterprises are concerned. But speaking to ET now, Supreme Court Senior Advocate H.P. Ranina and Sanjay Hegde shared their views on the implications of the settlement for Indian markets. Let's listen in.
Well, Indian companies, I'm sure they are going to be doing very well. And the stocks in the Indian stock in the market in India are going to, I'm sure, do much better than at present. Because if all this is behind them, then there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of benefit which the Adani Group will derive. Especially now with the issue of oil, one of the issues is that America wants India to buy their own oil. And if this is sorted out, then the Adani Group will be able to access the Iranian oil and Iranian gas, the US oil and US gas and bring it to India.
The overall track is more or less certain that the Adani Group and the various agencies prosecuting them, or either in the civil courts or the criminal courts, are moving towards settlements. You mentioned the case regarding bribery in India, which was being prosecuted by the Department of Justice. There are reports that even that case is being settled in return for certain investments in the United States. What this shows essentially is that the first of a series of settlements may have been solidified.
Let's move on then and put the spotlight on HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank's chairman succession process is gathering pace with the Nomination and Remuneration Committee likely to meet soon to shortlist candidates for the top role. Sources indicate that the bank is unlikely to consider interim chairman Keki Mistry for the position after he reportedly conveyed his reluctance to take up a full-time chairman role. And let's go across to my colleague Ankur yet again to get full details of the story.
Yes, HDFC Bank Nomination and Remuneration Committee is likely to meet soon to finalize the names of the candidates for being the next chairman. As per sources, what we have understood till now, that no name has been finalized yet and the bank is continuously deliberating upon the same. What we also understand that the current part-time interim chairman, Mr. Keki Mistry, may not be considered for the next chairman role because he is likely to have conveyed to the team that he does not want to continue as a full-time chairman, and therefore the bank is going to look for other candidates. Now, as part of the process, once the audit committee finalizes the name, it will be sent to the board and final call will be taken by Reserve Bank of India, which will see all the names and finalize and send back to the bank that who is going to be the next chairman of HDFC Bank. But for now, what we also learned that Reserve Bank of India may extend the tenure of the current interim chairman Keki Mistry by 2 to 3 months because his current 3 months term is going to end on 18th of June, and because there has no progress which has happened so far on the name of the new chairman, the regulator is likely to give a 2 to 3 months window for the bank to finalize the same, and we may see a new chairman getting appointed soon.
All right, Ankur, thank you so much for joining us with that. But with that, it's time for us to wrap up this edition of Market Cafe. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere because the market is coming up next.